All right, today we're cracking open a file on a mystery that has honestly haunted India for more than 50 years. I'm talking about the death of its second Prime Minister, Lal Bahadur Shastri. So what really went down in Tashkent just a few hours after he signed a massive peace treaty? Come on, let's start peeling back the layers of the official story. So picture this. On one side, you have this huge, celebrated peace treaty that just ended a war. And on the other, the shocking, sudden death of the very man who signed it. And this all happens just hours later on foreign soil. So was it just a terrible, tragic coincidence? Or is the official story hiding something much, much darker? That's the big question we're digging into. Okay, so let's set the scene. It's 1966. We're in Tashkent, which was part of the Soviet Union back then. A really monumental peace deal has just been signed between India and Pakistan, finally putting an end to a brutal war. You can just imagine, the mood is probably one of triumph, right? Pure relief. But within just a few hours, all that relief is about to turn into absolute shock. And the official story? Man, it came out fast. A massive heart attack. Simple. Case closed. Or so they thought. Because for Shastri's family, the people who saw his body when it came back to Delhi, that story just fell apart. Instantly. The question started, literally, the second those plane doors opened. So you gotta understand, these weren't just some whispers that started bubbling up decades later. No way. The official story had cracks in it from the very, very beginning. And the first people to point them out, they weren't conspiracy theorists. It was his own family. And it all started with his wife, Lalita Shastri. And just think about this quote for a second. There's something so raw and powerful about it. I mean, this isn't some doctor giving a medical opinion. This is a wife describing what she saw on her husband's body. Those blue and black spots she talked about, well, that's often a telltale sign of poisoning, which is a whole different world from a heart attack. You know, this one personal statement is really the emotional heart of this whole mystery. And the family's suspicions just grew from there, because there were some major red flags. I mean, think about it. A head of state dies in another country, and there's no autopsy? That is not just weird, it's a huge break from protocol. That's the one thing that could have given a clear answer. Then his personal doctor wasn't even there when it mattered most. His personal diary, gone, vanished. And get this, the cook who prepared his final meal was later quietly given a new job with a top government official. Any one of these things is kind of strange, right? But you put them all together and it paints a really, really unsettling picture. And believe it or not, those initial red flags were really just the tip of the iceberg. They're what kicked off decades of investigations by journalists and researchers, all trying to piece together what happened. They built this whole dossier of doubt. So let's dive in and look at some of the most compelling pieces of evidence. And when you start looking, the contradictions are just, wow, they're pretty stark. The official cause of death? Cardiac arrest. But the family, they saw a body that looked like it had been poisoned. The government said his doctor was there, but other reports say he was actually kept away. And then, in a really chilling twist, he and his entire family were killed in a road accident before he ever got a chance to testify. Even the simple claim that he had a history of heart problems was something his family absolutely denied. And it doesn't stop with the doctor. This pattern of, let's just say, suspicious events continues. Take the one personal assistant who was actually with Shastri in his final moments. He was the only one left who really knew what happened. Well, he gets hit by a truck, he survives, but then claims he has total memory loss. So conveniently, he can't testify. It's like one by one, all the people who could have given real answers were just silenced. So with all this missing evidence and all these silenced witnesses, you have to ask yourself a pretty disturbing question, right? Is this all just a string of really, really bad luck? Or was there a real institutional effort to bury the truth? And that's where the focus has to shift. We've got to look at the role of the government in all of this. And what you see is a clear pattern of what really just looks like a cover-up. Step 1, just refuse the postmortem. The acting prime minister at the time reportedly just dismissed the family's pleas for an autopsy, basically shutting down the one clear path to the truth. Step 2, ignore parliament. Over and over again, people in parliament demanded a formal inquiry, and they were just stonewalled. And step 3, classify everything. All the critical files related to his death were just locked away, stamped state secret, and hidden from everyone for decades. And look, this isn't just something that happened a long time ago. We're talking about today. To this day, the Prime Minister's office has refused to declassify these documents. The official reason they give is that releasing them could harm foreign relations and, cause chaos. But for a lot of people, that excuse just makes it sound even more like there's something big to hide. So, you might be wondering, why are we still talking about this after all these years? Well, it's pretty simple, really. It's because the official story has never, ever been backed up by a proper, transparent investigation. The questions people were asking back in 1966, they're the exact same questions we're still asking today. Nothing's been answered. I mean, just look at the timeline of his last 48 hours. It really shows you how fast and how shocking all of this was. One afternoon, he's celebrating this huge diplomatic achievement. That same evening, he calls his family, and by all accounts, sounds totally fine. Then boom, just a few hours later, he's declared dead. And by the next morning, his body's already on a plane back to India, and any chance for a real autopsy is just gone, forever.
So, at the end of the day, we're left with these huge, fundamental questions. Why was there no post-mortem? I mean, that's the single biggest failure here. What on earth happened to his personal diary? That's the loose end that just drives you crazy. And why does everything about his death remain a state secret? That's the big wall that's preventing any kind of closure. These three things, really, are the pillars holding up this whole enduring mystery.
So ultimately, the death of Lal Bahadur Shastri is still one of the biggest what-ifs in India's history. And until those secret files are declassified, until there's a real commitment to transparency, the full story of what happened that night in Tashkent, well, it's probably going to stay locked away forever. And that just leaves an entire nation still wondering what really happened to their prime minister.